Okay, so I don't do this often, and I think I'm actually gonna start doing it after every game, even if it's on like a weekday or something. If it's Thursday night, Monday night, whatever. Okay, so Giants lost to the Bears by a score of 17-13, and basically I'm gonna go over my takeaways and some of the events really in this game and on Twitter and all that stuff really prompted me to do this recap. So I'm gonna go over quarter by quarter and then review my final thoughts, including the Saquon stuff. So in the first quarter, Kyler Fackrell got a sack on the first drive. That proved absolutely nothing, even though he got the sack and, thankful for that. But David Montgomery, a couple plays later, scored a touchdown. Now, my question is, obviously there was some good blocking along the way. If you take a look at the touchdown, and why was Nate Ebner out there? Can someone please tell me that? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that he made, like, a bad play, but, like, why is he out there if he's a core special teamer? That's like putting Matthew Slater at wide receiver. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. I know it's all a DB system and that stuff, but why is he out there? It just doesn't make any sense. But first drive for the Giants, Daniel Jones. He pulls Daniel Jones, for lack of better words. He fumbles. Quinn gets a forced fumble. Khalil Mack recovers. Chicago goes to the Giants side of the field now. Bears only scored a field goal, thank God, but honestly, they should have scored a touchdown there, because if Anthony Miller had that, everyone would have been crapping on Isaac Yiadom. And I'm going to do that right now, because I don't think that he should be on this team, or at least in the position. I get, give the DBs a chance, learning this, that, and the other thing. My patience is done. My patience is done. And, people have been making, comments and shit like that, but let's keep going. So, after that, Barkley goes on an 18-yard run, and he's hurt afterwards, right? So he comes out in quarter two, and I think they actually took him out for one play, or it was either the play that, they ran off the clock to get into the second quarter. So he comes in and has a 5-6 yard run, and, he's hurt on the ground. My question is, why would you put him back in? And I'm not going to say, oh, this is the coach's fault, blah, blah, blah. Injuries happen. Injuries happen, especially to running backs like that, especially running backs like Saquon Barkley, who's elusive. But I just don't know what was in their thoughts like when they put him back in. And, they're not necessarily Aaron Boone when they say, and they give like players like days off, inactives. You know what? That's a whole different ballgame. I'm not even going to go into that. So, a couple of minutes later, Jones suffers a sack. Barcavis Mingo, I think his name is, came from Andrew Thomas's side as Jones was trying to escape the pocket. Then on the same drive, I believe, Deion Bush picks it off. So my thing is there, Jones, not necessarily a good throw. Ingram, he's skating. I don't know why you're skating on turf here and, slipping down. A lot of players did that. But at the same time, you did not have a good week last week. Don't slip. At least come back to it. But we'll get to that. So, on the ensuing drive, B.J. Hill gets a sack. Darnay Holmes slips in coverage of Cole Kmet, but it wasn't like necessarily that bad of a coverage. It's where, Darnay Holmes slipped and Cole Kmet came back and caught the ball. No yards after catch or anything like that, so I was really proud of that. Towards the end of the quarter, they went down the field. Mitchell Trubisky, he was rolling out in the pocket as he was getting pressure, dancing around and everything. Throws a touchdown to, I think his name is Darnell Mooney. And Ballantyne just falls down. Like, what is that? Everyone is making, different comments. I saw on the Giants fan page, this was on Instagram, last week, why is everybody crapping on Corey Ballantyne? You know what? I said this on Twitter. I'm going to say it right here. Everybody was complaining, oh, James Betcher, he put him in the slot when he's an outside corner. Okay, I even made that point because Ballantyne picked off Davis Webb in the preseason last year when he was an outside corner. But now you're put on the outside and you can't do shit? This is a 5th round pick right here. I have to look and see what Darnell Mooney did last week, but come on. You're getting the opportunity and possibly a right fit. I mean, we don't know what's behind the scenes, but you're possibly in a right fit and you can't do that? This is Mitchell Trubisky we're talking about here. Anyway, couple seconds after the touchdown ensuing drive, Daniel Jones gets him down the field. Graham Gano misses a 57-yard kick. I know the opportunities, blah, blah, blah. You could say that, what Pat Shermer was saying last year. Misses a 57-yard field goal. Funny enough, he can make a field goal for the Panthers in game winning against us, but he can't, make it here. I know that was 2 years ago, so you know what? I'm trying to make a point. So, Giants, didn't do that successful coming out of the half. Next Chicago drive, interception by Julian Love. So that's great for us. Take it back. But of course, on the ensuing drive, Jones, under pressure, throws a screen to Caden Smith. And now it's not an interception here, but it was just a very, very bad throw, in my opinion, in the case that, he threw it to Caden Smith. He caught it, but it was like 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And Bilal Nichols read it and said, okay, he's going to throw a screen, so I might as well tackle him. There was like a 2-3 yard loss there. Then a couple plays after that, on 3rd and 6, Slayton drops a slant. Like, bro, come on now. I mean, now that Saquon was out, they're depending on Darius Slayton in the passing game. No way you're going to stick to Dion Lewis like you would stick to Saquon Barkley. Dion Lewis is the backup for a reason. But anyway, he shouldn't have dropped that. Giants, decide, all right, we're going to kick the field goal here. They kick the field goal, and it's now a 17 3-game, 2-score game. Also, towards near the end of the quarter, Jones is about to get sacked in their own territory. The drive started at their own 5, I believe, and Jones was about to get sacked. Flips it off to Dion Lewis. That was a great play, and I was even screaming at the TV, go go go, and that stuff. A couple plays later, Jones slides down, and this is more towards the Bears territory. Roquan Smith, personal foul, and I like that Cameron Fleming and Nick Gates stuck up for their QB. Roquan Smith, every Bears fan hypes him and whatnot. I'm not inside the Bears community, so I can't say that on a different level. But at the same time, if you want to listen to PFF, they don't grade him too well. Anyway, a couple plays after the personal foul, they go down to the inside the 5-yard line. They don't convert on 3rd, so they got to convert on 4th. Dion Lewis, touchdown. Great play there. Charles Davis was talking about the offensive line. They're starting to gain confidence now, which I will get to, final thoughts at the end. Then on the ensuing drive, Trubisky throws a ball for Allen Robinson, and James Bradbury, without even looking at the ball, picks it off and takes it out of the hands of Robinson. Great play there. But unfortunately, knowing the Giants, they only make a field goal out of it, which is really stupid. Now, also, for the ensuing drive, I'm pretty sure this may have been on the field goal drive. No, this was actually after. What's his face? Daniel Jones throws it intended for Caden Smith, intercepted by Eddie Jackson. They go the other way. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me now? And, the play came back because it was actually pass interference, and Matt Nagy was being a baby about it. And I'm not saying this because we lost, but he was being a literal baby about it. Meanwhile, Eddie Jackson made contact with Caden Smith before the ball even went there. So, the ensuing drive there after Daniel Jones and that whole interception mess, the ensuing drive, David Montgomery went out with a couple of breakout runs, and there was even a reception on 4th down by Bobby Massey, which I didn't even know was legal, because at some points, if you throw it to an offensive lineman, it could be considered like an eligible receiver downfield or an eligible receiver touching the ball or whatever. But I didn't even know if it was like a deflected ball, an offensive lineman can get it. I mean, I should have went back a couple of years, because a couple of years ago, 2018, when Eli almost threw a pick, and I forget which linebacker was there, Spencer Pulley actually caught the ball and saved the interception. So it was pretty good there, but, there was not much gain on that play, but Giants actually won that game. So Bobby Massey reception, Giants stop on 3rd down, and Cairo Santos misses a field goal. What an opportunity. Rather than just a 4th down and pending inside your own 5, you get the field position. I don't know what yard line they were at, but Giants going to the red zone, Tate and Ingram showed up late in the game. Unfortunately, we could not convert with about 4 seconds to go, and that was the final play of the game. And then flag came out. I thought for a glimpse of a second, okay, maybe we get an extra play here because of a pass interference. Nope. Pass interference, offense, number 15, that's Golden Tate, and Giants lose the game. So I'm going to go over my final thoughts right here. If I scroll down on my doc, obviously I'm going to rewatch the game at some point, probably maybe before Tuesday. It would really not make any sense to do it before Friday in the case if it's after Tuesday, because, the recap is more on Tuesday and it's pretty much after, the game and whatnot. But that's actually pretty much after week 2. But anyway, Ballantyne and Yaya Dome cannot be out there. I kind of explained this before. Ballantyne, everyone's crying, he was in the slot last year, didn't fit. Okay, well, he got the opportunity for the first 2 games and he's still getting burnt. My confidence went from here to here with him. He needs to show me something, honestly. I'm sorry. His backstory from when he got drafted. It's a messy backstory, and I felt bad for him, and I still do. Mourning a loss of a friend. But, when you're on the field, you have to play. Unless, I'm not saying, emotions are going through him and whatnot, but what I'm saying is that, when you're on the field and your expectations are a little higher than last year, you have to make the adjustments. Only showed up for one half. We got shut out in the first half. Second half pretty much acted like, the first half of the Steelers game. And that was obviously not enough. One good takeaway also, Joe Judge makes the team fight. Last year if it was Pat Shurmur, it would have been like maybe, 10-17 or something like that. But Joe Judge, whatever he did in the locker room, obviously emphasized the guys and boosted the morale and said, hey, we got to get back into this game. So it was 17-13. Definitely that the morale affected the Giants, especially after the Saquon injury, because you have a leader, and I posted on Twitter, I said, this is definitely affecting the Giants right now, especially in their play. You lose your star running back, and who's a leader in the locker room, and, you don't score any points or do anything productive in the first half, especially 2 turnovers. But I'm pretty sure that was it was before the Saquon injury. Ingram and Tate showed up in the second half, pretty much I said that already with some receptions, my fantasy team's doing a little bit better. O-line. Now, everybody's talking about, hog mollies, the offensive line sucks right now. It's all Dave Gettleman's fault. I'll get to the Dave Gettleman part in a minute, but the offensive line gave up 4 sacks, but they did show up in the second half. I think they only gave up like 1 sack. And, they were trying to blow holes and give Daniel Jones time. And they were doing the best they can. I'm not going to sit here and defend, all the play, all the game, but at the same time, there was an improvement in the second half of the game, just like the whole team. So, everyone wants to rip the offensive line. They showed up in the second half, yeah, but also, the first half wasn't very good for them. It wasn't very bright. Someone who stepped up, and I'm going to talk about this, whole wide receiver thing in a minute, because Sterling Shepard went down with an injury. C.J. Boyd, towards the end of the game, he stepped up. I didn't predict him to make the roster, but at the same time, you have 4, 5, and 6 receivers for a reason. Giants have 5, but the 4 and 5, Damian Ratley and C.J. Boyd, Damian Ratley right now, when he's involved in the offense, doesn't look like he's involved in anything. But C.J. Boyd definitely stepped up with like a couple slants, a couple out routes, I think he's a decent pass target. So next one is the wide receiver thing. Now everybody's talking about, and let me first reference this Giants fan page on Instagram, and I'm not going to call him out by name because I'm not going to do that. But he said, oh, OBJ, I miss you, pain. You know what? Stop. We are 2 years almost from this trade. Can you get over yourself? OBJ, he's causing a lot of shit in Cleveland, and I get their first win, was last Thursday, and they could be a decent team. But, would you rather have a cancer for your locker room with a young Daniel Jones if he's not throwing OBJ the ball and you're not spreading it among your wide receivers? Because the Giants wide receiver core before this game actually looked pretty good. Slayton, you got Tate, you got Shepard. So stop with the complaining there. And I get the fact, they didn't draft a wide receiver in the draft. Well, everybody's talking about, oh my God, they got Austin Mack, they got Derek Dillon, they got Alex Bachman, and this is training camp I'm talking about. We got Benjamin Victor, we could keep these guys on the practice squad. I get that, but you're complaining, we should have drafted a wide receiver. So why didn't you say that in the beginning? Why? Because they're on the practice squad now? It doesn't make any sense, really. It just doesn't make any sense. And, we kept 3 wide receivers, I'm pretty sure it's 3 now, on the practice squad for a reason. And if Shepard is out for a little bit, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so we'll see with, the Sterling Shepard injury and see what happens. It's a toe injury. He was out for the rest of the game. He was on my fantasy team, so he's really screwed me. But as a Giants fan, I feel really bad. He's probably one of my favorite players. But anyway, on another topic, Giants got 3 sacks. ESPN says 4. ESPN said that Blake Martinez got a sack. I would have to look back at it, but I honestly don't remember that. Kyler Fackrell got 1. Lorenzo Carter got 1. And also, I'm forgetting somebody now. BJ Hill got 1. So that was 3 sacks I counted. I don't remember Blake Martinez 1, as I just mentioned. So let's talk about, Dave Gettleman and everything. So, as I mentioned before, Giants fan page, OBJ, this, that, and the other thing. We want him back. But you know what? I already spoke about that earlier in the video, so I'm going to speak about this Dave Gettleman thing now. The fact that people are just getting irritated over Gettleman now is really unfortunate in different cases because everybody, in my opinion, or at least some people, not all of them, some people. So, if you want to hear something like, oh, all people are getting, angry just because of Saquon, if you feel I said that, obviously go to a different video and complain about that because that's not what I said and you should listen, to the full thing. But what I'm saying is like, just because Saquon got injured in a different case. Now, let me explain it better. Say the Giants won this game and Saquon, was not injured. None of these conversations would have came up. Nobody was discussing last game how the offensive line, Dave Gettleman's fault. They were saying, the offensive line was bad and that Saquon couldn't run through the holes and pass block. Nobody was mentioning Dave Gettleman then, and I'm not defending Dave Gettleman. The first year, they put fucking Eric Flowers at right tackle. They put Patrick Omameh, a veteran journeyman guard, at right guard. Did horrible. He got benched a couple of weeks later, and then they brought Jamon Brown in. John Halapio. Everyone was thinking, first year, he was a good center, best graded offensive lineman by PFF, for the Giants. Then he gets injured. The next year, he was not a good center. And that's why we cut him. Just to reference, we didn't re-sign him. Then we re-signed him towards the end of training camp, and then we cut him. So, that's just a marking, see if I'm wrong or anything. But I'm getting my facts from that point 100% correct. He got Kevin Zeitler, who's struggled a lot so far in 2020, but he did well in 2019. Should have been a Pro Bowler, but Pro Bowlers fan voting. And then Mike Remmers honestly should have been re-signed instead of Fleming, but, I would have to go back and watch Fleming's play today. I do like the fact that he did stick up for Daniel Jones at the end of the game. So, about this Gettleman thing, I don't know why people are freaking out right now about it. You got a new head coach, and I get Giants fans are angry. I'm angry too. Because I was screaming at the TV, I'm angry about a lot of things. But at the same time, there's things called patience, and there's things called patience in different other situations. People have patience for one thing, but people have enough patience to, be patient on one subject and not get mad. But like when one thing happens, they just go freaking crazy. And another thing, Justin Pennick brought this up on Twitter, which I will agree with. You got Austin Johnson, right? And, the whole thing for the past 2 to 3 years is stop the run. Stop the run. We're not saying about pass. Nobody was talking, emphasizing about, we need pass rushers. Nobody was really emphasizing upon that, like, stop the run sets up the pass. We signed Austin Johnson. He hasn't been anything so far. To be honest, I don't know why, it's basically like the Olsen Pierre move last year. So, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, for other Giant fans, I get it. Dave Gettleman right now is in hot water, and I'm not defending him at all because he's had his fair share, of mistakes, and he's had his fair share of good things. He drafted Julian Love. He signed James Bradberry. He got a pick today. But, it just doesn't make any sense how, people, split up the aisle and only account for some of the things when they don't account for all. It just doesn't make any sense for me. I know I'm kind of running out on this and like running out of, evidence and shit, but I basically just listed it. You're freaking out about Gettleman right now. This is some people, this is not all, as I said, before. You're freaking out about Dave Gettleman right now, but if the Giants would have won, you would have not had said anything. And you didn't say anything about this last week. Think about that. Am I wrong? Honestly, and just to put it out there, I don't think we're going to win next week because, it's the Giants. And that's the way I personally feel. Honestly, I'm going to say the truth right now. Last year when we had Saquon injured and, Terry McLaurin was not in the game for the Washington Redskins last year in the first game, I thought we were going to lose. We ended up winning, it was like 24, 27-3, something like that. Anyway, I don't think the Giants can win next week on a different note. Because, it's the Giant way, if, everybody's hyping, the other team and, not really hyping them, but in the fact of, they have this guy injured. I know Nick Bosa is injured, Jimmy G is injured, Solomon Thomas is injured. I don't know if Bosa's out for the year. I know Solomon Thomas is, though. But going back to my point, you bring something up because something happens, but, if we won, and the reason is, it's not that, everybody's freaking out because it's like Saquon got injured, and I understand, picking high of a running back at second overall, I get that, and I got a lot of Giants fans, because I honestly didn't want Saquon. I wanted to pick a quarterback, but we'll see how things go and see if I'm right or wrong or not. But, nobody's saying anything about the first game, and a lot of Giant fans, really pissed me off with this, because everybody in the world was predicting, or at least a lot of Giant fans were predicting, the Giants are going to beat Mitchell Trubisky this week. It doesn't happen, so who do you blame? I'm not trying to be hypocritical of Giant fans, and I'm trying to, criticize them for every move they make, because, there's a lot of trolls on Twitter out there that, criticize Giant fans and think they're all idiotic and everything. I don't. There's a lot of smart Giant fans. There's a lot of passionate ones. But at the same time, a lot of Giant fans make the mistake and, get caught up in their own ego and stuff, say things, whether, this happened or this happened, and, if the opposite would have happened, they would have shut their mouths. So that's my main recap for this. Obviously, I'm going to go back and watch the film and, the video and stuff and recap off this game. This wasn't a good game. And I said like a week ago, I said, look, scores are often manipulated. So are box scores at the same time, because you could say 17-13, it was a close game. Maybe they scored a touchdown and that won the game. No, we got shut out the first half and we shut them out the second half and we got the points. But we didn't win. So that's my main recap. I will put out a podcast episode on Tuesday. Jordan hopefully is back on. Thank you guys for watching this one. I'm probably going to do this every week now, possibly, especially after, Monday nights and, whatever. But thank you guys for sticking with me, and we'll see you on Tuesday.